So, I got to thinking, a new American manifest destiny, breaking the manipulated division we fall for that keeps us all suffering. Got to thinking about the way things are between people a lot of late, and this is what I've come up with. Above all, I'm an American. Next to that, I'm a patriot. Beyond that, given our present situation, the rest is of no consequence. I care not about your beliefs, your skin color, your sex, or your sexuality, nor your religion. I care about what's happening to all Americans, and I stand side by side with any that believe similar. I refuse to use their divisive labels unleashed upon us to accomplish their divide and conquer agenda at such a time as America continues circling the toilet bowl, while those in control continue their orchestrated destruction of our founding fathers' dreams, our American dreams. As Americans, in these, our darkest days and decades, we can afford nothing less than this solemn commitment to one another. We are Americans, and Americans, in these dark hours, we must be over and above all else. There's so much divisive finger pointing that goes on today. It seems everyone wants to blame our situation on everyone else. She's a liberal. Well, she's a conservative. He's a Republican. He's a Democrat. He's pro-life. Well, she's pro-choice. When we're in groups fighting one another, how do we unite to force change? When it's really corporations, rich elite, and governments against us, why does any of the rest matter? Is it that hard for people to understand that if a person is balanced, they got parts of most of those things and others unmentioned within them? Where has the live and let live mentality gone? What about the finger pointing? What part does that play? What does it do to unite us so we can all stand against the same common enemy? Where's the respect that everyone has the right to their beliefs just as you have the right to yours? Why do so many people act like religious zealots trying to convert people to their beliefs, mentality, religion, and way of life? Wasn't the melting pot about diversity and people respectfully living side by side? When did America lose the ideal of taking care of one another in community? And it's all been orchestrated through control points and immigration. Immigration over time that's diluted the ideals of America and things that keep Americans from finding balance because we're constantly held hostage in chaos. In the Navy, it didn't matter if your skin color was black, tan, white, or some version in between. We were all Smurf blue. We knew that we had a common enemy we'd have to face, and orders would come telling us who that enemy was. Beyond that, nothing else mattered. We knew we needed to have one another's backs. Each and every American needs to form this mentality, given the present circumstances and situations we all face. Make no mistake about it. There is a war waging between the team of the rich elite corporations government, and that team is quite clearly against us. It is time to circle the troops and point the guns outward instead of inward. The other team has unlimited wealth, political power, control of media to keep us misinformed, control of banking, control of our government, and an arrogant, self-important ideology that suggests their right to dictate to the rest and roll over them like cattle. It's not a democracy anymore. It's not the republic initially conceived. The concept of left versus right and Republican versus Democrat, along with their other divide and conquer games, are all illusions. You doubt that? Then why have elections over the past decades changed nothing substantial to make a better world for all of us? Why are the only differences between parties the fringe issues, while the main core issues remain unchanged as they both walk lockstep towards their own agendas? If things could change by voting, then why hasn't it for decades? Bankers still rob us and get away with it, and they've been doing that for how long, no matter what party is in office. Courts still protect the corporations destroying our planet poisoning our food and water, no matter what party is in office. It is plain to see that leadership under any party in past decades has led to poorer circumstances for the majority of the people, but financial windfalls for corporations, big oil, and banking elites, churning out more millionaires along the way, while our economy and our middle and lower class lay decimated. How is that a better world for we the people under any party? They keep us divided, squabbling over petty differences, because they know a united people would be their death knell. It's not rocket science, people. It's practical application of psychology and conditioning. It's not helping us. It's helping them, and they're laughing at us as they keep strolling off to the bank with our hard-earned cash. When will the majority of people see that arguing and competing is helping drive us deeper down the toilet? Anger and frustration are understandable, but the time for finger pointing and blame laying is long past. Meanwhile, while people keep bitching, bickering, and pointing fingers, we're still too divided to stand united and take back what is ours. Meanwhile, our children still suffer, our masses still go homeless, and we're no closer to solutions, nor are we better off than we were yesterday. Corporations are still messing up, poisoning our food supply, Monsanto, for example, poisoning our waters, poisoning our earth and air, foreclosing our homes and stealing our savings, while endangering millions of people through the process. When do people realize the bitching and blame placing distracts us from action? When does the focus change to the fact that we're all getting screwed in one form or another? So if we're going to stop the screwing, the rest doesn't matter. Simply drop the anger and accusations and learn to prioritize. We all got bigger fish to fry than one another. And judging others on singular actions borders on absurdity, yet are the fodder for most arguments. Singular actions do not determine a person overall. It's the cumulative actions that show the individual character of a unique person, and we're all unique. Take, for example, the issue of good versus evil, or maybe a better analogy is morality versus immorality, or ethical versus unethical. Take, for example, one who steals food. One might justify this given hunger of the person committing the act, but the act is still immoral. It puts the needs of one over the needs of another, and their right to use their own hard-earned property. Another example is one who tells a lie to protect another. Again, some might justify the immoral act because it protects someone else, but that does not change the fact that lies are immoral acts. No matter which illustration one chooses, the singular action is not a true testament to personal character. However, look at any argument brewing between people in an online setting, and we find accusations hurled at people without any deep knowledge of the character of the person accused. In basics, strangers hurling accusations at other strangers based solely, most times, on a singular action, statement, or view. How absurd is that? In this, the broad brush of stereotype wins the day over analytical thought, questioning, and reasoning. The elites divide and conquer game is won on the backs of the conditioned masses. Is it any wonder we're in the situation we're in as we destroy one another instead of the ones at the root of our issues, our common issues? The way we justify things, nursing our cognitive dissonance, and the way it's destroying our nation is a conversation for another day. Can we yet see one of the biggest downfalls and failures holding us back from the real change we all need? How long will each of us continue falling into this conditioning pattern? How long will we each fall for the conditioning further driving home the wedges they've placed between us? If I believe that man and woman should be responsible for their sexuality and intimacy resulting in the potential creation of new life, but I believe that there are circumstances where such life should be terminated, does that mean be pro-life or pro-abortion, liberal or conservative, or maybe pro-religious or anti-religious? If I believe that people should be self-reliant or self-accountable, yet believe that given the present broader picture of society, that we still need safety nets for high-risk, vulnerable citizens, does that mean I'm Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative, or maybe pro-welfare or pro-self-sufficient? If I believe one ideology from this group and one ideology from that group, which group am I? If I believe in a few things from this group or a few things in that group, again, what group am I? Why do I somehow have to be part of any group at all? Personally, I've not to this day found a group that I completely agree with, but somehow, because I believe in this one ideology, strangers want to infer, jump to conclusions, and brand me with some label when they don't even know jack about me, other than that one singularity they attacked. Does anybody else see some absurdity here? For those seeing the absurdity, how often do you feed into this anyways? As a great person once stated, change comes from within. I no longer contribute to nor help perpetuate their divide and conquer game. Although I'm human and sometimes I fail, I still try not to. How long will you help them win their fight? How long will you keep helping them by pointing fingers, placing blame, concentrating on our differences and keeping us divided? Okay, so what's the point, you wonder? Simple. Strangers tossing accusations at other strangers is fruitless, and it only plays into the controller's game. Labels are next to useless because they're too often leveled like weapons on strangers, which makes their application dubious at best and totally unfounded at worst. They are mere character assassination tools to breed anger and hatred, filling people with the need to place blame at a time that blame is pointless and only stifles action through division. They are distractions, manipulated by the true common enemy to keep us from uniting with our torches and pitchforks and marching to their doorsteps. Just like good and bad, we've got liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, and all that other stuff in us, each of us. There are parts of each that we agree with and parts we don't. The likelihood that anyone completely agrees with one of these groups in totality is slim to nil. Labels mean nothing, and neither does the view on just one single object. What counts more, as in life, relationships, and all things, is the whole. Overall, we're humans, and here in our country, we're Americans. We are at a time where the rest can't matter, and it's way past time to drop the blame game that keeps us fighting one another, robbing us of the unity required to change our destiny. We are Americans, and they're screwing all of us in one form or another. Our enemy is common. As Americans, we need good food, clean water, an unpoisoned land to walk upon, and propagate wildlife to help feed us, clean air to breathe, and the economy, common enemy is messing that up for all of us. As Americans, we've all taken a hit in our wallets and our bank accounts. Again, the enemy is common. It's time for Americans to wake up to these simple facts so we can all unite against the common enemy. The time for differences and finger pointing is over, because as each of you continue doing that, nothing is changing, nothing is getting done, and the common enemy still wins the day. It was the same yesterday as it is the same today, and it will be the same tomorrow unless people stop feeding the monster. If the majority do not wake up and realize these simple principles soon, if they cannot see the present state and the dangers it presents, then America is doomed, and we've blown it apart from within through division, bitching, bickering, and blaming. In the meantime, we, those that believe it's time to backburner our differences, will be banding together despite our petty differences. We'll be waiting for you to join us when you finally figure it out. We hope that you figure it out in time before it becomes hard to find us so you can join us. Think about it.